Hi there, this is Chris from MoneyHub, and this video is looking at the Sorted Smart Investor tool. This is a very useful tool from the government, from sorted.org.nz. You'll be able to look at any managed fund or KiwiSaver fund, what the fund invests in, what its fees are, basically everything about it that you need to know, and helpfully it's all on one page. You just have to type in the fund that you're looking for. You can access it through, and I will come to these options later, but I just wanted to show you the best way that I find is looking at the site search. So without further ado, we'll type in to here, we'll go Control V, and we'll look at a Fisher KiwiSaver. You can type in anything. You could type in Milford KiwiSaver, Milford Managed, but let's just go for the Fisher KiwiSaver, and then there's a whole bunch of KiwiSaver funds come up, but you'll probably know what you're looking for, hence why you're using this tool. So let's just go onto the growth fund, and I'll just explain everything which you see in here. So it's a very, very comprehensive tool. I'm gonna just do a quick summary. You can see the fees, you can see the returns, but then you'll also see a whole bunch of different sort of asset mix information, and then where the investments are, what the fees are, and then you can see all the risk stuff and a whole bunch of documents. So this is really the a depository for everything about the fund. Sorted has done a fantastic job at it. So let's just go through it step by step to make sense of it. So here's the name of the fund, the growth fund. You can see that 72% of his assets go into, or this is the target, into growth, i.e. shares, and then 27 will be income, which will be like bonds or cash. So something that's not a share and you're not going to get some capital growth on, or that's not the aim of it. Whereas shares and property definitely do that. There you can see the fees. Sorted explains that, what you would pay, 1.34%, and then this is the returns for the 5 years up to the 31st of March. So they're updating this data once it comes in from the FMA, and that does take, so right now it's the end of July, we've still got the data for the 31st of March, but it does take a month or two for that to flow through. But it's a very clear picture, and then you could be able to compare these returns with other funds, either using this tool or using the Morningstar KiwiSaver comparison tool, the fund screener, or the quarterly reports as well. So there's a lot of data out there, but it's just this sorted tool really does help you learn about the fund. So what you can do then is have a look at the key facts, and this is straight out of their prospectus. It's mainly investing in growth assets, so that's good. It is a growth fund, so we'd expect it to be doing that. And then you can see what the mix is there, which was a summary up above. Sorted will explain what these mixes mean. Then helpfully, it does say from all the money that's in the fund, what percentage are in shares, what's in property, what's in bonds, and what's in cash. So that's, and it does a comparison for all growth funds. So you can see this fund is slightly below the average for growth funds, but then, and so as a result, it's likely to have more cash, which it does, and it's on par with bonds. So that's just data. It's not a comment, negative or positive, about the fund. It just shows you what the tool is measuring. Then helpfully, you can see what the top investments are for the fund. So 25% of all the money in the fund goes into these 10 investments. So you can see some Fisher and Paykel shares make up 3.28% of the fund. You've got Mainfreight in there, but you've also got a term deposit from ANZ. So that's just money sitting at the bank, because they're thinking right now we don't want to invest in anything particular. We just want to hold the money, look for opportunities. And then you can see they've got 0 shares. They've got shares in Infotrail. And then you've got a whole bunch of unlisted property that they've bought. So it looks as though they own the police headquarters, and some of the fund is going into that. So it's a whole big mix. But very helpfully also for you to have a look is this spreadsheet, which shows you the entire fund holding. This is very, very, very helpful. So if I just go to this, you can see that it's the first 10 things is what we saw before, but they've also got investments in the Merivale Mall. They've got investments in like in Alphabet, carsales.com. These are all US listed companies. they've got investments in Amazon. You can really go through and see exactly where all the money is. I mean, for a fund of this size, you'd expect it to be well diversified. And if you have a look at the total number of investments in it, which does seem quite overwhelming, but they've got about 700 and let's say around 700. Some of these are negative exchange things, so it's probably not accurate, but around 600, 650. So there is a big holding, but it's very useful to have this information. So that is what this means here. You can go through it, and it's full disclosure, which is why it's a useful thing to have. And then you see once again the fees, and then it will give you the breakdown of the management fee, and then there may be performance fees for certain funds. So if there are, this will tell you, and then what your membership fee is, because most KiwiSaver schemes, some don't, but most charge a monthly membership fee. So that'll give you a sort of like an estimated combined total fee, and then the returns. You can see that for the last 5 years. So they're after fee and after taxes for a 28% investor rate. But if your tax rate is lower, then that return will be higher marginally because of your tax rates is less on the dividends received. And then yearly returns, you can see that the fund was doing about 10%, 10.5 in 2015. Then it rallied so far this year in 2021. So it's very useful to see this, and you can see the average and make a guess from there. That's comparing it to other growth funds within KiwiSaver. So very, very helpful information. This is just very specific. So this is very general disclosures. We've got stuff about the risks. You can read their product disclosure statement. That'll be straight off the Fisher Funds website. And then once again, we've got a whole bunch of documents, but you can click on the fund update, which every fund manager has to publish through the law, and you can see the total value of the fund, and it'll give you a commentary. This is being published by Fisher Funds, so it's quite useful. It is a standard template that everyone uses, but you can see what the fund did, who's managing it, and basically just a general snapshot of the fund, and they do a little commentary on the website, and sometimes sometimes they'll email out a summary to their investors. So not everything's disclosed, but you can get a good idea. And then once again, you can see the asset listing, and then a whole bunch of other disclosures. So I wouldn't dive too much into those if you're just trying to look for a summary of the funds. But this is a very comprehensive tool, and at MoneyHub we just have a overview of the fund schemes, schemes, and just give people a general idea of it. This is if you're looking to really dive down into the details. So it is something that I clearly work with quite a lot. It's useful for our work, and you just do get the information that you want to know without it being overly complicated. So this is straight out of the fund this is straight out of the fund update. It matches there. So this is basically the tool in a nutshell. What you might want to do is try and use the KiwiSaver and managed funds tool, but I don't find this as useful. So if you click on this, you can do a quick search, and you can go into KiwiSaver, then you can go into growth, for example, and then it'll give you a whole list. It'll give you a whole list of funds. You can sort by growth assets, but if you want to, you can sort it by fees. You can also do it by a return. This is if you're just generally having a hunt for a fund. Now, some of these, so this is the Super Life scheme, and these are all, I believe, 5-year average returns. 5-year returns. So you're not going to get the last 1 year, and you're not going to get the 10-year data, but you can see that this is how Sorted presents their information. So you can see that growth fund here as well. So that's quite useful. I prefer using the Morningstar data just because it's a little bit easier. But if you want more, it's more comprehensive because you can choose the return rate. So you can choose the return period. But it is, if you wanted to use Morningstar and then jump onto here, that's something that I would strongly suggest because that is popular. So yes, that's really where I'll leave it. You can use the managed funds tool, and that'll be the same thing. And it'll give you, you can go for growth, and then you can see, you can also do it by lowest fees, uh, which is more and more people ask about. Oh, I want to be in a managed fund, but I don't want to pay a huge amount. And so here you can see those fees are quite low. There are other funds which are cheaper. One being Kernel, and one being the Super Life funds. Sorry, not Super Life funds. The ETFs from SmartShares, but those aren't listed on there because one, Kernel is new, and secondly, the ETFs aren't actually funds by definition of this tool. So they're only on the NZX, and I think you can buy them through Sharesies as well. Actually, you can, and through InvestNow. So not everything's in here. Certainly, there's more than 50 funds, in existence, but it is a good tool just to get a helpful oversight. So hopefully that helps you, and let me know if you have any questions below. And thanks very much for watching.